Hey, it's Pete Calandra here, and this is a little experiment in doing a live stream. So, I'm a composer for film and television. I'm a keyboard player. I've lived in New York City most of my adult life. I live up in the Hudson Valley for the past year. And right now, there's the Women's FIFA World Cup tournament on, and it's being broadcast here in America on Fox Sportsnet. In August of 2014, a music producer here in New York City that I'd worked with before called me up and said that Fox Sports had just signed these huge contracts. Had signed these huge contracts for a decade to broadcast all of the FIFA soccer tournament here in America, and they were looking for a theme song, and would I be interested in pitching for one? So of course I said yes, but at that point I was in the middle of two other projects, and in a week or so, the beginning of the semester, because I'm also a college professor, was starting, and I was really incredibly busy, and I didn't think I could give it my full attention right at the time. So what I did was ask him if he minded if I waited 2 to 3 weeks before I started working on it, or was it really something that needed to be done immediately? He got back to me and said, no, they don't need it right now. As long as we get working on it, relatively soon, I think it should be okay. So with that, I spent the next 2 weeks finishing up my projects, getting started with the semester, and at which point I would have time to work on the theme song. So for the next 2 weeks, I was copied on a series of emails between this producer and the vice president of programming at Fox Sports. And they were going back and forth talking about their concepts for what the theme song should be. So first, it needed to be grand and Olympian. It needed to have a choir. It needed to have world beat. Then it needed to have this. It needed to have that. They started naming all these different bands that it should have a little influence by, people from different countries that are big pop artists, American rock bands, all sorts of stuff. And over again, these emails were going back and forth. And at the end of 2 weeks, I'd had about 50 or 60 emails, each one with a different piece of information, oftentimes conflicting with each other, telling me as to what this piece of music should be. So of course, I wanted to do a really good job. So what I did was I sat down the first day I had free and I started working on something. And for 2 days, I couldn't come up with anything because I was trying to get every bit of information that they had given me into this piece of music. So at the end of the second day, I was really frustrated. I put everything aside and I stopped thinking about it. And the next morning, I was out walking my dog over in Riverside Park, and I said, I don't care if I win or lose this job, but I think what I really want to do, is just write something that I know is correct. What I feel is right. I'm going to write something that I think is an excellent piece of music, and I'm going to just hand it in and see what happens. So with that, I started hearing a melody in my head as I was walking back to the apartment, and I got home, and then I jotted the melody out really quickly, and then I sat down, and in a stream of consciousness that day, over an 8-hour period, I wrote and recorded the entire 2-minute piece. I did all the rhythm programming, all the orchestral programming. I played electric guitars, acoustic guitars. I sent a rough draft over to a friend of mine to sing on because I wanted some female vocals in the middle section, and she got it back to me really quick. And the next morning, I gave it a quick mix and I sent it off. And within 15 minutes, it had gone through the entire food chain and been approved. I'd never had an experience like that before. But what happened was that I was too paralyzed. I spent 2 days with too much information trying to write music, and it didn't work. And I just gave up and said, I'm just going to do what I feel is right and go with my instincts. And this time it worked out. So in the show notes below, or in the description box, I'll put a link to the audio file of the theme song. Hopefully you'll be hearing it this month. There's 6 weeks of programming, and over the last 3 or 4 days, it's already been on air 300 or 400 times. It'll be played quite often, and what they mostly use is there's a vamp section that I wrote that we made a 1-minute edit of that loops in and out in the studio and in and out to commercials. I really like the piece, and the thumbnail at the beginning of this is the Pro Tools stem mix. So basically what I did in that 8 hours is what you're hearing on air. There were no changes to the music at all. The only thing we did was we replaced my sampled brass with live trumpets, live horns, and live trombones, and a bass trombone, I believe. But all the rhythm programming I did, the vocal track was the ones my friend sent me, everything, all the strings I played, everything in there is right from my original session. There was no change to the form. There was not a change of melody note. It just was this 8-hour stream of consciousness that I was in the moment, and it just happened. And I've rarely had something like that happen, and I'm really proud of the piece, and I hope you enjoy it. So basically, that's all I've got to say, and I hope that you've enjoyed this video. This is the first time I've done a live stream, and it's very short. So if you like this kind of content, let me know. If you have any comments, put them in the comment section below. I'll answer them. Please subscribe. Please like this video, and please ring that bell if you want if you want to be notified when I upload a video. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.